Hi, I'm Palak Kadakia, and today I'm going to show you UiPath Apps. UiPath Apps is the industry's first automation-powered low-code application development platform that can enable anyone to compose an app. So you can create tailor-made applications for your businesses that aggregate data in real time from multiple systems and publish data to various systems, including legacy ones, through the use of robots. There are two main components of apps: the App Studio and the end user experience. The App Studio offers a web-based low-code designer to support rapid app creation. You can build visually appealing professional apps using a web interface with simple drag and drop controls and deploy them with a single click. It lets you unify your data from across the organization and connect with business applications and systems of record such as ERP, CRM, and more, including legacy systems with no APIs. UiPath Apps provide a seamless, high-quality digital experience layer across web and mobile for business users. This interface connects different systems, processes, and your automations, both attended and unattended, via API integrations and UI automation executed by robots. Let me show you a demo of UiPath Apps. This is the UiPath Apps homepage. The first example is from an energy company. One of their most common use cases is that agents need to come up with payment arrangements when someone is behind on their payments. Oftentimes, they have to do a bunch of mathematical calculations, pulling data from multiple systems, and following various rules. We can easily automate this. As it's loading, behind the hood it's running an automation to go pull information about the customer using an attended robot. It pulled up a bunch of information about Justin Marks, including the types of accounts and plans he has. This Get Offer button pulls information from multiple backends, does the math, and displays the results. This UI is very simple, with a lot of heavy lifting handled by RPA. This UI is also responsive, so I can make this page smaller and you'll notice all of the information shifts. Apps can run across both web and mobile devices, making it really easy to access your automations from anywhere. Now, this was a simple example. Let me show you a more complex application. Here, I have a UiPath Banker app. This agent console fetches data from 6 different systems, including all of the customer information, the list of products and services they have, as well as recommended next best actions and offers and opportunities. In the time it takes for the agent to look at the customer information and accept the call, the dashboard is already populated with all the relevant information. Now, this call is about an inquiry. The customer is looking for a transaction. They didn't commit. The agent can just click on this account that the transaction was made in and click the inquiry button. And again, automation will run, and here you can see in UiPath Assistant, the automation is running. It fetches data from various different systems. Now, you can expand the view to see more transactions in the single list, and we can even click on certain transactions and pull images and the data from other systems and surface it right in line. Normally, it would take an agent multiple minutes to find the right transaction across the systems, get the image of this check, and so on. But with the combination of apps and RPA, it simplifies their task significantly. You can also select multiple transactions and reverse them, submitting them to the transaction reversal system. And that solves the customer problem within seconds. With the additional time that the agent has, they can make offers to the customer. So let's say they want to offer a new rewards visa program. They can click on that next offer. All the information about the customer is automatically populated. They can answer some questions and then go ahead and submit it. The organization can enforce compliance requirements from their agents by showing them the right dialogues and asking them to acknowledge that they've read it to the customer. As you've seen, we can build simple to complex enterprise-grade applications using the same tool. Let me show you an example of how to build your own application. We have a tool here that tellers can use to input cash information, check information, and retrieve transaction IDs and share them with the customer. I'm going to build a simple app that automates this process. So we start by clicking this Create New button on the top right, and we'll call it Teller Application, and hit Create. Now it drops me into a blank canvas that I can use to design my application. I want to start by making this a little bit bigger. And now I can add controls to this application. We have a large number of controls available out of the box that include input controls like checkboxes and labels, display controls, as well as containers and icons. For this application, I'm going to start by adding an image, followed by a label for my first field, a text box, one more label for the check, another text box, and then we'll go ahead and add a button that will run the automation. And then finally, we'll add one more label and text box to show our transaction ID. Now the bare bones of my application are ready. Next, I will configure all of these, and I want to upload a logo of my company. So I click on image binding, click this plus button, and load this Reboot logo right there. Now that's done. I'm going to update this label to be cash. We'll update this other label to be check, the button to be submit, and then this label to be transaction ID. Now we need to style this application so it looks a little bit more user-friendly. I'll start by making this image a little bit smaller. We have several styling options available in this Style tab. You can adjust borders, margins, as well as size. So in this case, I'm just going to change the width of that to, let's make it 350 pixels. And there, that looks a lot better. I can also make all of this information centered in the application. So I can select that container and press that center button, and it centers everything, making the application look a lot better. And then finally, we'll change that submit button to a different style. And we have several out-of-box styles available as well. We'll change that to more of a simple button. And last, we'll set that transaction ID box to be disabled so it can render information, but we don't want users to change that data. Now the UI of our application is ready. The next step is to bind all of that data to input and output variables of automations. So for that, first, we will add a process to this application. And you can add processes from your cloud orchestrator or from on-premises orchestrator. Mine is in the cloud, so I'll just select the right tenant, click next, and it pulls up all the automations available to me. In this case, I have a double UI automation already built, so I'm going to use that, and it shows me all the input and output variables. Once I've selected it, I can go back to my main page and start binding these various fields. So we'll start with that first field for cash and bind the value to the input variable, cash in. This one will bind the value to on as check, and then the transaction ID will bind to the output variable transaction ID. Now last but not least, we need to run the automation when they click submit. For that, we choose the button, click on events, and create a rule. And you can create several kinds of rules. You can have complex rules, simple rules, and so on. In this case, I just want to run the start process rule. I can click on this, choose the process I want to start. I also want to show a little spinner when this process is running, so the business users know that something is happening. So we'll just show a little spinner here and say calculating. And then when it's done, we'll go ahead and hide the spinner. Change that. Now at this point, my application is ready to go. I can publish it so it's available to everyone. But first, let's just test it and make sure it works. So we'll hit preview right there. And there you go. Now I can enter some amount for cash, some amount for check, and submit. And you'll see that spinner showing up. My automation is running here in the assistant. And the transaction ID is returned. So you can see it's really easy to even design and build applications very quickly with UiPath Apps Studio. The usage of apps leads to acceleration of growth and operational efficiency in organizations. Apps improves the employee experience immensely by offering a rich user experience, increased productivity and satisfaction, and increased employee retention.